Hi, Patrick here. I'm coming to you here live, well not live, I always say that. I'm coming to you here recorded, hopefully in one take, from my school in Abikan. We rent a small, basically a bungalow that we teach English from, which I lovingly refer to as my bunker. I'm just about to go home again. It's late on a, what is it today, Wednesday night, but before I do I thought I'd just make this quick video to show you my latest book. I wrote a blog post about this, but you may not have noticed or cared, but here it is, look! Da, 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 da. This is my latest book, At the Dentist's. Not exactly particularly long, but it's a niche book that may be of little interest to you for its topic, but well, I don't know. But it's what is it? It's 100 English phrases for dental assistants, hygienists and patients, particularly marketed for Japanese. As you can see, it's got in Japanese subhead there, and a very Japanesey looking character, manga-y type person there. Why am I showing you this? Partly, as all these things are, to show off, but more to say you could make something like this, or whatever that expertise that you have, you could produce a book like this. Now, why would you want to? Well, I just wanted to make the point that this is sort of a bit like microbrewing, less tasty, but the same principle. You know, make a very niche product that will serve your customers very well, but there may only be a few, I don't know, there may only be a few dozen customers who are interested in buying this book. And you might think, well, why put all this effort into making a book that you could at most sell 30 copies or something like that? Well, first of all, you might sell a lot more than 30 copies. But secondly, I've already put the effort into this. This came out of 3 months of teaching at a local dentist's Katsuta dental clinic in Abikan. The main dentist there is one of my students, and she once commented, oh, it would be really good if my staff could speak English. The dental assistants and hygienists could speak just basic English to deal with the few foreigners like me who live in Abikan whose Japanese isn't that good. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll help. I'll teach. So I did, as I say, a handful of lessons over 3 months. And over that time, I kept my lesson plans, and I realised what the staff found difficult, particularly difficult in English. And I collected it, and I turned it into 100 useful phrases, and arranged it into 10 lessons. Like here, and so so you've got here like this. This is all, by the way, laid out on a Mac, but it's not using any particularly difficult software. It's using Pages, which comes free with a Mac. And I've been doing a number of books that are this size. This, as it happens, is the same size as my discontinued colouring books. What is it? The Zen of various football clubs. Adult colouring books. The bottom dropped out of the adult colouring market and I moved on. However, it's the same size, so I use the same templates that I had existing, and this makes a nice, quite largish. Oh look, there's various details if you want to look at that. Quite large, but not as big as A4. I don't know what size this is. Bigger than B5, but smaller than A4. I don't know, whatever it is. It's a nice size to hold and to make notes in. So it makes a good mini textbook. And here's the contents. So you can see that's what I've been working on there. And every lesson, just to show you, like the first one is very simple. This one's called Questions in the Waiting Room, and with the character from the front cover, which I got from 123rf.com, one of these like Shutterstock type places. I think she cost about I don't know, a couple of quid, and I can use her on every page if I want to. I'm licensed to use that, licensed to thrill. And here's the first lesson. Look, there's a very simple opening one with English and Japanese. My wife translated into Japanese for me, made sure it was all okay. And then I've got English half of the conversation, and then English half of the conversation on the other side. So the idea is that they should already know this material, but if they don't, it's there in Japanese, and they can practice using English, only English on each page, so they can train themselves, and more importantly, keep it under the desk, under the counter at work. When a foreigner comes in, they can leaf through to the relevant thing. Oh God, how do you do appointments? Oh yeah, okay, I got it. You know. Anyway, and this is like, as I say, niche publishing, like microbrewing, and anybody can do it. I've already done the work beforehand, as I say. So it just seemed like wasted, you know, people say money sitting on the table, but it's like wasted effort. If you put all this effort into making a class, why not take your lesson plans, convert it into something that may have some kind of an impact somewhere. Now, I'm not expecting to make a fortune from this book, but already I'm really chuffed, because it's been on sale for a few days, and I've sold I've sold 6 copies to the dentist that I did lessons with. That's no surprise. I mean, that was kind of part of my contract. But then I've sold 3 books in the last 3 days, 2 in Japan, 1 in France, of all places. I've no idea who those people are. I guess they saw a blog post, so there's some relationship with me. I'm not sure I know anybody in France that would be interested in this, maybe. But I don't think any of them read my blog, so I don't know how it happened, but you know, already there's 3 people who bought my book. Actually, I know who one of them is, because it's the wife of a friend of mine who saw the blog post. But they still bought the book, and they'll probably give it to a dentist friend or something like that. You never know, one thing leads to another. At the very least, it puts my name out there as somebody who does crazy things like writing English textbooks for dental hygienists. That can only be good. One thing I wanted to say, I did this through Amazon KDP, which means usually self-publishers go through CreateSpace, which is owned by Amazon. But you can go directly through Amazon now for paperbacks, for real books. The advantage of this is they will print the book anywhere that you can, anywhere they have a .com or, you know, a site. So they've got a .co.jp site. So I uploaded it directly to Amazon, and then they printed it the next day and delivered it. I think it took 2 days, but it could be on between 1 and 2 days. It arrives from being uploaded. Whereas before I had to wait 2 weeks for it to come from. I think it was printed in North Carolina. They've since moved to California, I noticed in the last lot. But anyway, so the great advantage if you're in Japan, upload it to Amazon KDP directly. You can sell it. You then get it the next day, and your customers can order it from Amazon. In theory, if you write a very popular book, people will find it themselves on Amazon. And you never know, maybe the word will get out amongst dentists. Oh, here's a good book for your staff. I can dream. You never know. There was one downside to using KDP. Don't tell anyone, but I put a typo in the blooming cover. I had hygienist spelt wrong. I had it spelt without the I. Hygienist, Hygenist, instead of Hygienist. Normally, I'm not fussy about making a small error, but you know, it's an English textbook. Got a mistake in there. It hurts. Got a mistake on the cover. It's not really acceptable. Got a mistake on the cover on a keyword, hygienist, which people will search for. No good. So I re-uploaded it. So I took it down and re-uploaded the new file with the corrected silly mistake that I'd made and corrected it. And then ordered 7 books for my staff and 1 for myself, for the dentist staff. Bloomin' Amazon printed the old file. I don't know how that happened, because everything looked okay online. I contacted KDP in an American, or the English help staff got back. I said, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry." I had to write to them twice to explain the problem. They finally got back to me and said, "Oh well, we'll get it. We'll send it over to Japan and they'll sort it out." And I said, "Okay." I never heard anything back from the Japanese, and presumably there's a language problem, or I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so what I ended up having to do was unpublishing the misspelt one and republishing as a new file. So there's now two, if you search on Amazon, there's two books that look identical. One spelled correctly, one spelled incorrectly. The incorrect one is not available because it's embarrassing, but the correct one is available. So what does this mean? This means that be a bit careful. I'm not sure that they've got their editing software sorted out completely on KDP. I imagine it's just teething trouble. Teething trouble. So it's not a big deal. And the other thing to know is it's kind of self-inflicted wound, really. What is it? Check twice and do once, rather than check once and have to do it twice. There's a lesson there. I've learnt my lesson. Okay, that's all I really wanted to say. I'm just waffling now. But if you're in the game of teaching English or any kind of teaching or training or anything like that, I would consider making a little product like this. Oh, sorry, book. But, it is a product. It's something that exists outside of the work that you've already done. As I say, it may not make me any money, but it's another asset.